Hey guys, Jess with Wreath. We are back to build our newest orange and blue football wreath. So in our last video, we built this gorgeous bow. There's lots of really pretty football and navy blue and orange textures because that is what we're going for here today. Our theme is orange and blue football. So we're gonna be putting in some of this Raffia, also known as a hula skirt. We wired up our frame with 18 ties. It's a 14-inch frame. We put 18 brown pipe cleaners on it. Then we cut our mesh. It's this really pretty burnt orange that we've been using. This navy blue with a border stripe and burlap. And we cut those to 30 inches long and it's 10-inch mesh. So we have our base done here. And now we're gonna be adding in our ribbons. We're gonna be using this golden, I don't know if you can pick up on the gold on there, but golden 1.5 inch burlap. Then we have this medium blue 1.5 inch, and then we have this really pretty gold, not gold, bronze, I would say, orange and bronze metallic leaf ribbon that's 2.5 inches long, wide I should say, and they're cut to 13 inches long. We're gonna be using this hula skirt, which I got this tip from another wreath maker. I thought it was a little crazy. You know what? Crazy enough to work, and that's what happened. So we have figured out that with one hula skirt, you can put 3 pieces, because if you look, the way that it's attached to the waistband is like by these knots here. So you can add 3 little bundles per tie, and then you can put them in all 18 ties. So there we go. We've been making these football wreaths. I know it seems a little repetitive, but you know what? Each one's a little different. That's kind of how things go around here at Peek Blue Wreaths. When I do decide to make multiples of a wreath, it doesn't tend to take off. So I have a hard time figuring out which ones are going to be, you know, repeat purchases to be able to duplicate. So each one is a little bit different. I kind of follow the same pattern with the mesh length, with it being 30 inches long. And then our ribbon being cut to 13 inches. That's always the same, but the colors and the patterns vary slightly. And you know what? At least you know that when you're getting a wreath here at Peek Blue Wreaths, most of the time it is absolutely one of a kind. And you are the only one with that wreath in the entire country. So there you go. So we cut this, our 3 little bundles, and we cut it in half there at the loop. And then you just gather it pretty much in the middle and tie it into your pipe cleaner. You don't have to open up your pipe cleaner or anything like that. We cut off about 2 inches of the pipe cleaner before we attached it onto our wreath frame, just because I know when I make my wreaths how much mesh and how much ribbon I use, and I know that I don't use the entire length of a pipe cleaner. I only use a certain amount, and I don't like to go back through and trim them all off at the end, because I feel like it's an unnecessary step when you can just trim them in the beginning. So that's that. Everybody does what works best for them, but that's what I like. So that's what we're doing, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if you figure out what works best for you and, you know, saves a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, then do it, you know. All about, you know, multitasking or saving time, or I guess working smarter, not harder, I guess. That's what I'm saying. Although, if you've been watching these videos, you know that making your wreath does take time. So sometimes people will say, oh, why do your wreaths cost so much? Well, they won't say it that nicely. Let's just say that. They don't say it that nicely normally. You know, it's kind of funny. I don't know if it's just people in general, or like I've heard before, like since COVID, people have gotten like more bold with the way that they speak to people, not only on the internet, but in real life too. But I know I've been at some craft shows that I've been doing, and I've heard people say, that's pretty, but not for $80. Okay, well, that's fine that you feel that way, and I'll smile at you, but like, it's kind of rude. Right? It's like, and that's fine. It's not for you. It's fine that you don't want to spend $80 on that, but don't be rude. You know, I'm standing right here. I'm not ripping you off, I promise. You know, wreaths take time. You know, the materials cost money. Everything is more expensive. Shipping is more expensive. Boxes are expensive. All the things are expensive. So, I mean, come on, right? Hold it together, okay? Anyways, I know that before I understood that handmade items, like their value, I guess I should say. It's not just the materials, right? Like anybody can take a roll of mesh off of a shelf and a wire frame and pipe cleaners and a grass skirt and like try to make it happen, right? But I mean, it takes a long time to make a wreath, and the quality that I use of the materials is not like Dollar Tree, right? Like it costs money. So I promise, I value your money. I value your time. I value your decision to place your money with me, right? You trust that I'm going to give you a quality item, and that's what I try my hardest to do. I take that very seriously. I'm very thankful for every order, and I know that times are tough for lots of people right now, and I don't take it lightly when people order from me. I do my very best. I take it very seriously to give you the very best product that I can, and I promise I'm not ripping you off. Okay, I promise. All right, enough with that serious talk. But I'm just putting my my ribbon into each bundle of mesh, putting in 3 pieces of raffia, and then moving on to the next space. I was really excited today. I was helping out at my son's school during lunchtime, and I checked my phone when I was done with the first hour, and I had sold another blue and orange football wreath. So I like to keep 2 in my shop at all times. So I figured, let's make another one. Kind of starting to run low on this orange mesh, so I was going to use a mesh that was like medium blue, and then the orange, and then the dark blue, but I kind of thought to myself, I should probably try to stretch that blue out, you know, use medium blue on the next wreath, you know, if another one sells. When another one sells, let's be positive, right? And kind of, you know, speak that truth, right? And when I first started making wreaths, I could not imagine that anybody would want to buy one of my wreaths. Could not imagine it. When I first started making these wreaths, I started making wreaths during my oldest son's nap time. He since obviously doesn't nap anymore, because I've been selling these for about 6 years now. But I really liked how I could make something beautiful for my family members. And it made me feel proud when they loved it and would hang it on their door. But then I got to the point where, say that, you know, the season was Valentine's Day. Well, I had made a Valentine's Day wreath for my mom, my dad, my sister, ourselves, you know, all other people in my family. And then I was kind of like, okay, well, it's still Valentine's Day season, and I want to make more wreaths, but I don't have anybody else in my family to give them to. So what should I do? And my husband, super supportive, still is, was then, he said, well, why don't you try selling them online? And I thought to myself, yeah, right, nobody's gonna want to buy one of my wreaths. They're not good enough, no way. But you know what he told me, and this is just something definitely to carry with you all the time, through all aspects of your life, is you don't know if you don't try. You know, what's the worst that's gonna happen? You open an Etsy shop and nobody buys your wreath, and it's frustrating, and it's sad, and it's disappointing, but like, it's not like, you know, you're losing a whole lot, right? You gotta try, because, you know, what if you fall, but what if you fly? So I opened my Etsy shop with like 3 Easter wreaths in there, 2 or 3, because it was Easter season. So 2 or 3 Easter wreaths in my Etsy shop, and they were priced lower than they are now because I used lower quality materials, because that's all I knew. I was using mesh and ribbon and signs and embellishments from like Joann's and the Dollar Tree back then, because I didn't know that there was like online places that you could buy wreath supplies from that were really higher quality. I didn't really understand that, you know, you get what you pay for, and higher quality materials just have a higher quality look and a higher quality feel and all the things. So it's like anything else, right? You don't know until you know. But either way, I got my first wreath sale and I was so excited, and it just was like, it was so motivating for me that somebody that I've never met before, a stranger, right, found me on Etsy and thought that my wreath was good enough to buy. And that was the beginning for me, I guess. You know, it was motivating for me to keep trying to do better. You know, I watched so many YouTube videos, tutorials before I even made my first wreath, because I didn't want to like I didn't want to waste the materials and make it look bad, right? Which, I mean, looking back, you don't waste the materials, right? You're learning. Every learning experience is not wasted time. You know, you're learning something. So, but anyways, I watched lots and lots and lots of YouTube videos before I ever made my first wreath. And then I still watch YouTube videos of wreath makers to try to pick up different tips and different techniques, and you know, some things I keep, some things I don't, you know, but there's like different things. Like one thing that I've been wanting to try is they sell, which I bought because I kind of had that, you know, fear of missing out situation, because last year Hobby Lobby started selling these ornaments during Christmas time that look like gems, like they look like diamonds, or they're shaped like a long gem, and they are gorgeous, and they came in like red, green, clear. I think they had like a rose gold one, and they were beautiful. But what I did is I waited, because I'm like, oh well, you know, I think, you know, Christmas comes out when? In like July at Hobby Lobby. So I was like, I'll just wait until closer to Christmas time, because I'm not going to use them right now, and I don't want them just hanging around. Well, what ended up happening is, when I was ready to make them and ready to use them in a wreath, they were sold out. I could not get them anywhere. And I learned my lesson. So as soon as Hobby Lobby went half off, I went up there and bought a bunch of gems. Because you know what? Life is about, you gotta keep learning. You gotta keep expanding yourself, pushing yourself, you know, making yourself feel a little bit uncomfortable, because that's how you learn, right? If you stay the same, you're not growing. You're just being. And you know, you gotta keep trying. You gotta keep trying to better yourself. You gotta keep trying, you know, to learn new things and do new things, and you know, you gotta keep growing. So I will be making a wreath with gems this Christmas, and I'm excited and a little nervous because I don't really know what to do, but I will figure it out, and I will watch videos, and I will ask for help from other wreath makers that I trust and admire and work with from time to time. And that's that. That's one good thing. Well, there's many good things about wreath making, but everyone kind of has their own style, right? So it's not like, you know, if you talk to somebody else, they're gonna like steal your ideas, right? Like two people can do the same thing and it looks completely different, you know, based on that person's style and that person's technique and what they like to do and how big they like to make their wreaths and what kind of wreath base they like to use and all the things like that. So come on, there's room for everybody. There's room for everybody at the table, right? But speaking about having room, I wanted to talk to you guys about how thankful I am. I just reached 750 subscribers the other day on here on YouTube. Some people, the YouTube, right? On the YouTube, which is awesome. And I just posted my 100th video a little bit ago. You know, when I had I didn't want to post lives or recordings because I was nervous, because I thought like that I wanted my area to look perfect, right? Some people do have like perfect magazine worthy wreathing areas, and some people work in their home where there's space. You know, not everything has to look like a magazine, right? You do the best with what you got, and you know, all of our, let's not get it twisted, all of our wreaths here at Peekaboo Wreaths are from a clean, pet-free, smoke-free environment. right? We keep that, we're very serious about that, right? I understand that people have allergies and sensitivities and all that thing. So I always make sure in all my listings I write that. But at the same time, you know, I kept putting it off because I was like, well, I want my desk to look perfect. You know, I could use a new cutting mat. My cutting mat shows that I've used it. But I was talking to my sister and she's like, you know, people like seeing normal, right? People that look like them. You know, people whose work areas don't look like, you know, their cutting mat. This is the same cutting mat I've used since I started, right? It still works. It's not, I haven't cut through it all the way. So I'm not going to replace it because it's not worn out, right? We don't want to be wasteful, right? So, I mean, if somebody doesn't watch my video because it doesn't look like a Martha Stewart magazine crafting area, then you know what? It's okay, right? There's a different, and that's one of the good reasons that there are, you know, lots of different wreath makers, because everyone has a different style and some people like different people's personalities, and that's okay, right? It's kind of like there's a shoe for every fit, right? What is that how it goes? Right? I don't know, but I mean, it's okay. Some people like wreath makers that talk less and they fast forward their videos and just do like voiceovers. Some people like to see it in real time. Some people like to see videos of the entire wreath made in one sitting. Some people like to see videos of people that make one wreath in many sittings, which is what we do here at Peekaboo Wreaths, because I'm a mom and I don't normally have time to make a wreath in one sitting. So we make it in multiple videos, which works out because then if you maybe are struggling with your bow, only watch the bow one. You know, if you need more practice with how to add in mesh, watch the mesh one. You know what I mean? We tend to break it up into steps and it works well. So, I mean, different strokes for different folks, but I'm thankful you're here. I'm thankful you chose to watch, and I'd love it if you like, comment, and subscribe to let me know where you're from, if you're a wreath maker. What you guys think about this color combination? I know blue and orange are popular for fall again this year. So, yeah, there's that. All right, we're putting in one of our last pieces of ribbon. Put in our burlap, and then our next video we're going to be coming through and adding in all of our embellishments, putting our bow in. I have some really pretty foam, well, not foam, they're not pretty foam footballs. They're foam footballs that look nice in a pretty wreath. I should say that because, you know, foam footballs, they are pretty, but I mean, they are brown and they're footballs. So, I mean, it's not really too exciting, I guess. All right, so we're adding this one here. We're gonna be moving this actually. Oh, I have to move I gotta move all these ribbons. I do. When I was counting, I was assuming that I was gonna have, let me see, brown, blue, brown, blue, brown. Okay. I cut an extra brown and orange one. So let me see here. Orange. Brown, blue, brown, blue, brown. Yeah. All right. We'd be moving them. Let's go. What's wreath making without a little bit of pivoting, right? Okay, so this one will go over here. That's why it's nice nothing's glued in. We just have it twisted into the pipe cleaners. There we go. Hopefully I'm doing this right this time. I don't know. It's okay. It's okay. We're all doing our best. Let's see. Okay. So this blue one, we're going to move out here. Move it right here. Sorry if I was out of camera range there. Okay, fold our pipe cleaners down. This one's folded down. This one let's twist a few times because I know I'm going to put my football embellishment right here, and I'm going to be putting some nice pretty pumpkins. And what I do, how do I attach my my foam pumpkins is I take a stem from one of my old florals, and I should say a used floral, they're not old, and I poke a hole in the foam with a pair of scissors. I take super glue, I put it inside of that hole, then I put the stem in, and then I hot glue a little bit with Gorilla Glue hot glue around the edge of that stem to make sure that it's nice and secure. And that's that. Just because foam doesn't always stick the best to anything, and I know that a lot of these wreaths ship down south, and I would hate to think of one of my foam embellishments melting off somebody's door. That, ugh, no thank you. That would make me not happy. All right, so this is our last one that we're gonna put our bow on top of. I'm not putting any ribbon there, but I am gonna put some raffia, because when I put my bow in, I'm gonna stick the raffia straight up, so it's kind of sticking out the top of the bow. And there we go, we're all done. This is already about 25 inches. Nice and pretty, nice and full. Thanks so much for hanging out. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.